Hello and welcome to today's content, which will be on Sterne, Knight of Ruin unit analysis. And since his EX has been released, and we should talk about it, especially because he is quote unquote kind of like a, I would say kind of like a counterpart to Elena. But yeah, without further ado, let's begin. Here we are for abilities. The main job is going to be Knight of Ruin for Sterne. And then he's gonna get Mighty Break, Roar of Ruin, Swift Slash, Hazard Crusher, Catastrophe, Destructive Feign is going to be his limit break. I know this is gonna be a little bit repetitive because I have done a unit analysis on Ruin Sterne. However, this is basically gonna be a quick, very I will speed this up by a significant amount because this is mostly gonna be for his EX upgrade. And yeah. For his EX upgrade specifically for his main job, he's going to get Ruinous Resonation, which is basically Roar of Ruin, but now it additionally adds AP consumption decreased, so by 25%, which is good. It's going to let him use more abilities because they will cost less for 3 turns. From here, his Hazard Crusher now turns into Hazard Render, and what it's going to do is that it's basically going to lower the HP cost from 20% to 10%, which is pretty good, as well as decrease healing power after it hits. So it's going to be a minus 50 healing power after it hits, which is very good, especially against teams that are looking to sustain themselves. From here, his EX ability is going to be Barrier Breaker, which is literally going to be what it's doing, breaking barriers. So yeah, there is going to be for physical barriers specifically, and it is, since a new ability, it is going to be a 4-tile range ability, as you can see there, with a range height of 1. For sub-jobs in general, his main job, sub-job, Knight of Ruin, is going to get double attack, which is 2 hits with a really good modifier to it, especially if it's light. He has Demonic Heal as well, which is it's not really too great, but it is available for him. From here, he also has the Samurai sub-job if you wanted, mostly going to be used for Illusion, a Kongo, or a Hien, just for cheap AP cost. And lastly, we have the Assassin sub-job, which most importantly will be used either for Heavenly Blade, or in PvE situation, or PvP. Seize AP is not a bad option at all, but yeah, Marauder's Blade might seem it's amazing, but I think it's still bugged and broken in the game. I don't think Gumi has fixed it yet. If they did, then I'd take that back, but to my knowledge, I don't think they have fixed it yet still, so I can't really say too much about Marauder's Blade in that situation. Moving on to resistances and passives, he has 20% to slash, negative 10% to pierce, 10% to strike, 10% to missile, negative 20% to magic. He has 0% AoE, 0% single target, at level 120 master ability included, 0 defense, 0 spirit. His resistances to statuses, 50% to charm and disable, which is very nice. 10% to paralysis, poison, and negative 5% to confusion specifically. His master ability, because he is a bit of a more quote-unquote legacy or older unit, he doesn't have the mono benefit for dark. He does have defense penetration by 20% for himself and a little bit of slash attack to give himself more damage. He is a 3-move, 1-jump unit, 100 cost. His passive, what I would recommend, is going to be Desperation and Blade Soul, specifically because Desperation has one of the best cost efficiencies in terms of damage trade-off, because unlike Self-Sacrifice, which is 8% for resistances, this Desperation is 5%, which is, it's just better in that situation. Blade Soul is going to be specifically for increasing his attack and evasion, and the Niche and Flex is going to be evasion up and acquired AP up. I will say, however, evasion up as well as using Blade Soul instead of Desperation is a viable build if you want to really go deep into evasion for specifically Ruin Sterne. So yeah, it is a viable option. For reaction abilities, he does have Murderous Glare, Third Eye, and Dark Shadow. I will just say Dark Shadow is one of the best reaction abilities in the game, because if you do not kill them and it does proc, they will get their turn back very quickly. It's kind of like a speed reflex for Zazan, or it's just very nice to have. It is it's not going to be like reflex, but it's very nice to have if you do survive and it does proc. And here we are at Sterne's rating out of 5. I know in my old video I do believe I put him at a 9 out of 10. Back before EX has been released and we did not know what other light units are that were going to be coming out and or are out now. So yeah, his new rating, I would say updated as of now with his EX, would be a 3.5 out of 5, and let's go over why. For pros, he's able to pick up actually a very high evasion and accuracy DPS with decent defense penetration and AoE big defense debuffs, which is very good. It's kind of like Elena in the situation where they have high evasion and accuracy due to her luck stat. Ruin Sterne does have higher luck than her, so yeah, just keep that in mind. He has mediocre HP, he has high attack, high agility, and second highest base luck stat in the game, I believe. It's question mark because I'm not 100% sure, but I know he is barely behind luck compared to Zazan, who is the king holder for luck stat. So yeah, he is very, very, very evasive and accurate for the luck stat in general. He has 20% defense penetration on master ability. As you can see, it is a little bit outdated, but 20% is better than 0 regardless. And he does have a defense debuff abilities to help him with that even more. Just like Helena, he has insanely large AoE high damage abilities, but physical and slash damage instead of like magic type damage, which is Helena. So yeah, he's kind of like the physical counterpart to Helena in a way. He does have a little bit more outdated like ability situation. However, his EX does help him a little bit more in terms of damage and such. He's able to use both helmets and heavy armor, but no cloth or hats. This is important, especially for evasion. I will get to that very soon in the cons. He obtained a physical barrier break on his EX, which means he is now able to break barriers, which is very useful, especially if he is going against a unit that is very barrier dependent. He has extremely high luck stat, and this enables Sterne to be a very high evasion and accuracy unit. Along with his accuracy buff, Roar of Ruin or Resonance, I believe the EX ability of it, he can really hit super high tiers of accuracy as a standalone unit. He does not need a different unit to help him with accuracy. He can do this on his own, which is why he is very efficient in terms of accuracy. I'm not going to say that it's going to be a 100% hit, however, he's still capable of very high levels of accuracy compared to most other units. Due to his passive and his setup, he's actually able to obtain one of the highest attack stats in the game, possible mostly because of what setups he can do as a dark unit, and you do have to consider that this does forego his survivability to a very high extent because he is sacrificing a lot of resistances and like defenses to like basically get as much damage as possible. He has actually very strong AoE abilities, but he also has very strong single target abilities as well, especially even his limit break as well. So he really is flexible in terms of his ability usage if he needs damage to just be outputting. From here, his evasion potential, if you were put all the evasion stuff on him, like possible, like even his 2 passives, it rivals Zazan's. Literally, he will be the same tier of evasion pretty much. This does mean you have to go for the 2 vision card synergy, which is luck and evade, and then the evasion esper as well, and using both of his evasion passives. This means you will be hurting in terms of damage, but you will have super high evasion in that regard. Combo with any other current strong dark unit, which is like Dwayne, Helena, even Venera evasion, like just in general, it allows for a combo synergy off either damage or evasion off of all of them. Like he does have synergy with all of them. With Dwayne, he has the dark resistance down as well as slash imperil from Dwayne, and he can capitalize and help Dwayne with his hazard crusher. Helena has the dark resistance down, which I mean it's huge AoE. With double huge AoE you can do insane damage, and Venera specifically is because they're both going to be dealing physical damage slash and lowering defenses in general. They can be evasive together as well at the same time, so yeah, they can work well together. And lastly, for his pros, defense debuff is really more unique lately, and it's not, it can benefit a team. Like it doesn't only benefit himself, it can help his team as well, especially if they're physical hitters. Just in general, they don't even have to be dark type. Just lowering defense in general will help increase damage dealt. But also because lowering or a debuff of defense also can allow defense being negative, this does increase damage dealt like to units. So like if a unit is like 0 defense and they get hit by Hazard Crusher, they now have negative 30 defense, and they will be taking that 30% more damage from the defense down. So yeah, it is really nice to have in terms of like defense debuffs. Now cons. First off, before I go into all his cons, I do have to say, because of how much the meta kind of evolve in terms of damage, EXs on the average is usually going to increase a unit's damage or survivability. It's usually not going to do both on the average. However, you do have to consider how much damage can you mitigate from what a unit gained and obtained compared to what they can do or take hits in return. For Sterne's case in this scenario, he gained insane damage and evasion. However, he gained literally 0 survivability in return outside of the evasion, which means he still has his major weaknesses, which have not disappeared since he has been released in the game, like such as like getting hit by a holy or like energy ray. He will be one shot. Like unless he is significantly heavily mitigating it, he will be one shot. But yeah, without that, let's just go in straight into the cons. So first off, he has no and he has low base spirit and defense. He must evade hits or otherwise he will die very quickly without help from his team or a TMR that can specifically help him with resistances. Outside of that, he literally has to be evading hits or he will die quickly. He has mediocre HP and he has no other mitigation outside of evasion, which will spell trouble when getting hit by chip damage without any backup. So like if he's getting hit by energy ray because he is right next to a tank, he has a high chance of dying. It just will hit him. He has a high chance of dying. It just will happen sometimes. I will say, if he does mitigate enough damage though, he can survive because while he is a squishy unit, his resistances overall are not bad, even if you do use desperation or not. So yeah, that is something to consider. Additionally, due to him being 100% only slash type damage, without any slash penetration or any imperil from a party formation or a vision card, it is possible to negate a significant amount of damage with slash resistance or even dark resistance. As a standalone unit, he does not anymore, at least because of how much more units we got and like setups we have. He is not capable of being a standalone unit compared to like Dwayne and Helena right now. Like he is not capable of that because of his own limitations. Just as a unit, he does have defense down, but he has nothing against, like, if he hit an enemy that has 100% slash resistance and he has nothing on him because it's very hard for him to get slash penetration just in general, he's not hitting damage. Like, he's just gonna be hitting ones. It's literally just gonna be it's a wet noodle pretty much. That's if that scenario happened, but because it's allowed to happen against him and he has no tools against it, that is something to think about. Additionally, if he is planning to use an evasion build, he will have to use the Maidens of the Rose vision card because of the luck stat specifically in his party group. Additionally, if you do want to maximize on his evasion without half-hearted building it, he will also need the Shiva vision card if you truly want to max the evasion. Additionally, you could use the Chimera, the Dark Chimera vision card as well if you wanted. However, Maidens of the Rose is a significantly better coverage of what it provides Sterne as well as his team. The luck percentage, dex percentage is very good for mostly the accuracy and evasion, and specifically he does get 18%, I believe, or was it 13% slash resistance penetration specifically for Maidens of the Rose, so it is better than nothing. He does get a little bit of it at least, so it does help. Now, he is vulnerable to stop and most importantly 100% hit abilities, specifically Holy slash Energy Ray, as I have said, which was still notorious for one-hit KOing Sterns that were not mitigating it like significantly heavily. If you only like slapped the one item on him and like pretended that it would be good enough for him to survive against magic, you are wrong. He will literally be instantly deleted if you do not like stack it up very high, or if he does not dodge specific said abilities of 100% hit ability, so just keep that in mind. Additionally, even if he has high magic light resistance but not magic resistance, keep in mind there are strong other magic hitters, like even like a Sweetheart Salir who has 100% hit ability with Detonation Blast. She could potentially one-shot Sterne in that situation. Now, there are certain units, such as like Charlotte's ability of Attract Wall and her passive, if she used it together, to get 100% defense debuff resistance, which makes Hazard Render's usefulness much lower because the defense is not being debuffed, meaning he is literally missing a 30% extra, well not 30%, but like 30 defense lower slash penetration extra damage that he is going to be missing because it is resisted, meaning he will use a different ability because he is not able to make use of that defense down. Like, it just won't happen. Certain situations like that, if units are able to resist defense debuffs for that, like with reliability, then he will not be useful in terms of hazard render. Because he is also unable to use Sage's Hat, meaning he has to have Ribbon for max evasion potential and or Mithril Armor, which is really shabby in comparison. He will be missing a very heavy evasion modifier on him, and he cannot use the Santa Claus in the future, which also knocks down his tier of evasion in the future. Right now, he still has one of the highest potentials, just like everyone else, if you use the Ribbon setup. However, once the Santa Claus come out in the future, he will have to wait for the next huge like evasion item that he can equip, which would have to be either heavy armor or an accessory, which has not been released yet. Everything else right now for evasion is mostly targeted towards cloth armor. Additionally, hazard render usage drains HP and it cannot be used if it's under 10% HP. Just like the issue we had with Hazard Crusher back then, if you were below 20% HP you cannot use it, but now since the cost is only 10%, which is much better, even then if you're below 10% HP, he cannot use it to finish off enemies. He has to use a different ability because the game will literally not allow him to use it because of his HP values. And lastly, he has very costly AP abilities for his high AoE damage and extremely poor AP generation TP abilities. Even with his AP consumption decreasing ability, he, like on Ruinous Resonation, he still has very poor AP generation and it still has high AP cost. So yeah, he either needs an apron or a huge AP, like bells, or like a huge AP generation item or TMR, or else he will not be not firing out abilities left and right. He will be taking his time, and it's possible that he might just die in the process or not even get any AP back in this situation. And that's why I do believe he's a 3.5 out of 5. I do think he's still a really strong unit, especially with Mono Dark. However, his flexibility is by far much less significant, and he is not good enough as a standalone unit, in my opinion, compared to other units that are out now and in the future. Now, lastly, for his TMR chase rating, I do believe it's like a 2 out of 5. I don't think it's really worth chasing. The Cursed Armor, it's an armor type. 444 HP, which is not bad. It's nothing crazy. 10 defense is not bad. 12 crit rate, not bad. It's just nothing impressive about it, nothing new. The name, the active is going to be Never Ending Enmity, which is pretty good actually. It increases your single target resistance by 35 for 3 turns for yourself. It is, however, only casted once, as well as 2. There are a lot of the meta quote-unquote strong enemies, like units out there right now, are mostly going to be AoE, mostly from like Helena and situations like that. So single target right now is not too strong. However, I will say there are some strong single target units, kind of like Elena, which it could be useful if that did work. But other than that, it's not there. I do believe there are better TMRs, especially for AP generation as well. As you can see, this costs 24 TP. This would only generate 12 AP, so it's not even that much. And here's my example setup for Sterne. Basically, I would be using Helena with their own vision card, Dwayne with his Omega vision card, and Sterne, here we are with the Golden Blade for the max amount of damage, using the Ribbon for evasion, and Odo's Apron specifically for his defense penetration to turn into 70% instead of 20%. Because of Hazard Crusher, as I said earlier, if you do happen to hit a Charlotte who does have the defense debuff situation and or other units that have similarities to that, he can't make use of it. So using the Apron is going to guarantee he gets damage outside of the... He's going to get damage with his damage, his defense penetration at least. From here, using the Chimera Esper specifically for the dark attack slash as well as all the evasion nodes, and he's using Maidens of the Rose vision card specifically for the additional damage, the luck percentage for evasion, and a little bit of slash penetration specifically. So yeah, these are mostly going to be setting up for a Rune Sterne to be very evasive and still have damage. Future stuff to consider: there are no great swords or armor out yet that we can really talk about that is going to be like game changer for him or like significant enough, so I can't really say much, but there are units. One thing that he can work well with is going to be Kain, because Kain does have defense penetration of 45% once his EX comes out, it's 45. He can still make use of the Hazard Crusher, especially on enemies that are like negative defense, that allows Kain to hit significantly harder. From here, Lamiga also has defense penetration, but same situation as also Prompto as well as Kain. Because Rune Sterne does have the ability to lower defense, these units that can deal physical damage and capitalize off it and add to their own little spin to it, they are able to capitalize off the defense down and combo very well with Rune Sterne in that situation. Now, units you want to kind of watch out for in terms of like counters: 100% hit abilities, obviously. Most high damage light units that can are mostly magic oriented, specifically against him if he does not have mitigation against it. Pierce damage in general and magic damage in general are going to be highly effective on the Sterne on taking him out very quickly. Oberon has a 100% hit ability that's also Pierce, and he's strong enough to literally one-shot Sterne. He will be a very good match into him. Like, Oberon will not have too much of difficulty facing him. Yuna, as we said, unless you are heavily mitigating magic attack type damage, Yuna can still one-shot as Rune Sterne just with an energy ray or a holy. It is literally at a snap of her fingers, it's still possible. Magic damage in general is still effective against them as well. You can literally expect enemy Helenas to also one-shot Rune Sterne as well. So yeah, it just, you can see where I'm getting with this. Like, just magic damage in general is very, very strong against them. And yeah, we've come to the end of the video. If you liked it on my unit analysis of Rune Sterne, please leave a like and or comment. But yeah, until the next video, peace out.